It is March 29th, Sunday. It's around 2 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. I just had a real lazy hike today. It was very sunny and somewhat warm earlier, but I knew it would cool off, and it did. I'm at a little bit of a wind tunnel now, which I didn't plan, nor was this wind here earlier, but it's here now. And I'm glad I have the clothing on that I have on, because earlier I ran into a hiking friend, and she was like, "You dress too warm," and blah, 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 blah. And at that moment, yeah, it was a bit warm, but now it's back to being cold and about 40 degrees. So I thought I was somewhat done with the UFO and UAP stories. And then last week I looked in this other journal that I have with amazing experiences, and I noticed there was a very short UFO UAP experience, and I figured, it counts, so I'm going to include it. And then as I thought about it, this week, and then even today, I think, things started to change. And I'm like, how short do I want it to be? How long do I want it to be? Nobody really watches these anyway, but they're here for historical documentation, right, of my truths and my being. So, how do I want to go with the story? There's the long version and there's the short version. I think for right now, with this test and this wind, I'll go with the short version. So about 2 years ago, right around this time, me and my partner at the time were doing what I call and what I refer to as energy work, extreme energy work. And I tapped into a vision, because I jump around in space and time all the time when we do this energy work. And things are shown to me, I experience things, or I get to just take things in and see things for what they are. And at this particular time, I tapped into an elderly man who had long gray hair, kind of like I have now, long and wavy. This plane has been testing shit all day. They're just driving around, flying, floating, engine stalling. It's kind of annoying. So, whatever. And there's people everywhere, but they're 50 yards, 100 yards, a quarter mile away. I can see everybody in the distance through the trees and the bushes because I haven't filled in yet. But anyhow, as I digress and I bounce around here and I keep it real, I saw this older man on the beach, or what looked like a beach, and he was guiding and pulling all these people through the ocean, because the ocean had been parted. The sea had been parted, and there was just a strip of land, right? And as he was trying to get all these people through the water, or through what would normally be the water, because there was a pathway there and he was on the beach, he was pointing at them to get up the mountain, keep getting up the mountain. And you could see people were up at the top of the mountain, they were ascending, they were making their way. And as I looked up onto the mountain, there was what looked like a blue octagon type shape or form on top of the mountain, and that was the sanctuary, that was the safety, that was where this individual, this man on the beach, guiding all these people through the water, the ocean, which had been parted, he wanted them all to go up there, ascend there to the highest point. And I understood everything with the water and the water coming in and him being able to hold the water back, or the water being held back and the water being parted and these people coming through the water, and how getting up the mountains, would be the safest, place to be because of the height and the altitude. But then this blue figure type thing, octagon type thing, what was that all about? So I journaled it and wrote it down, and I was having a lot of experiences that day. There was a lot happening for me personally, a lot of things I was tapping into in relation to past lives, 2,000 plus years ago, easily. And that's why I'm keeping this story short. So what happens was, that same night I go home, or it may have been the next night, I don't know, I found a show on TV, which I've journaled and documented, and perhaps I'll put it in the notes when I upload this. And the name of the show was something like USO Fast Movers, Unidentified Submerged Objects, Transmedium Fast Movers. It was something along those lines, okay? That was the title of the show, or the movie, or whatever network it was on, or whatever streaming service. And it was just there in my feed, so I watched it. And it was very interesting because once again, it went into some of the, loosely worded, loosely scripted biblical stuff of, Moses parting the sea and Moses guiding 3 people through. And I was like, holy shit, fuck, that's like totally in sync with what I experienced yesterday or whatever, or hours earlier. And then it was talking about, what if it was a UFO? What if it was an unidentified submerged object that parted the sea and helped all these people get to safety during catastrophic times and whatnot? So at that time, I didn't know all the biblical stories, and I'm still not 100% on all of them. I've spent the last 6 months off and on streaming movies about Jesus, the Nazarene. I've streamed movies about Noah and him building the ark. I've streamed some movies about, Abraham and Moses. And I've now started to put all that stuff together as far as a timeline or a loose understanding or just the characters and, all the different countries at the time and the different populations and the different people. See, there he is. He's just stalling the engine, just floating, drifting, whatever. It's okay for that, I guess, with the wind and the cloud cover. But the thing is I'm once again seeing that show and having that kind of confirmation like that night or the next day. It just completely blew me away, and it put some things into my wheelhouse. So that's a little bit of the story. That's a little bit of what I saw. I can't explain what was on top of the mountain other than it was very awkward looking. Looked like it had about 8 sides to it, like an octagon. It was blue. It was on top of the mountain, so it definitely wasn't part of the natural formation, right? I mean, it's blue and it's like got edges to it, and sides to it that are, what's the word? Sacred geometry. But then what was really weird was around that time, or at some point, I had another really interesting experience or dream or high energy, experience where I tapped in to another, what I would definitely call a UAP, because this thing did not look like a UFO at all or a traditional UFO. And I had journaled it and drawn it, but it's nowhere in my journals. And then I remembered that I had done it on my phone. And I think it was actually a year ago, so a year after this first experience, but a year from today, roughly around the same time. And what it was just multidimensional beings showing up in a UAP that geometrically just didn't make sense. The edges, the corners, the sides, the shape, you're like, what? But it doesn't have to, right? It doesn't have to be aerodynamic to move through space and time. It just has to create like its own gravitational field. So I kind of wanted to include that in this video, and I just did. I'm rambling because I'm not reading it from the actual journal. And the second experience that happened a year ago, I can't find it right now. Whereas the other experience that happened about 2 years ago, right around this time, I didn't read it. I looked at it, I think, earlier this week, and I'm kind of just going off the top of my head. So that was another UAP, UFO experience. It was verified by the TV show that I watched later that night or the next day. We don't know what's loosely written in the Bible in a lot of these books and what people were really experiencing, because they didn't even have words for it back then. So I just thought I would record this on a day like today, upload another video to wipe off my list that I didn't even know I had till like a week or 2 ago, and put it down as another UFO, USO. But then again, it wasn't submerged. It was on top of the mountain / UAP / confirmed by a TV show to a degree / biblical times or prophetic times, I think, if that's the correct word and the correct pronunciation, the prophecies of everything. And since I've tapped into a lot of these visions in all these past lives, and I've seen this planet get wiped out at least 2 or 3 times that I know, at least 2 times that I know of, I'm just going to leave it at that. So peace, love, and light to all of you. I hope you are all well. As I said, it is Sunday, March 29th. I wish and send the best to all of you. Always. Namaste.